welcome to the Broken Records podcast. This is your host, Christian Gonzalez, and with me today is the screenwriter of Broken Records, David Robertson, and we also have not only is David Robertson the screenwriter, he's also the director of photography, but we also have the director of the short film, Yenisel Amador. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and how are you guys doing today?
Hey, what's up, Chris?
We're doing good.
Doing good, man. You know, Sunday, enjoying the day.
Easy Sunday, taking it easy. Happy to hear that.
In home in the dark with the blinds closed, you know?
Yeah, so I'm sure as anyone who's listening would imagine, it's kind of hard to get together nowadays. So the three of us are in our own separate homes. We're recording virtually and just going to sync this bad boy up on GarageBand, and hopefully it comes out good. And to anybody who's listening, thank you for your time, and I really hope we put together... Yeah, thank you for tuning in, and hope we could put together a decent enough podcast for you to enjoy. And let's get into it. I wanted to ask David first, where his idea came for the script, and just what ideas he had before production, before workshop, and if you just want to touch on that real quick, David.
Well, basically, I woke up one day, sat down on my computer, had a coffee, and just the idea kind of came to me. And it wasn't like a full-blown picture, but it was little segments. I started writing down notes. Sometimes when you write a story, it's like you want to start. Sometimes you start like in the end. Like for me, like I ended up writing it from like the resolution, the climax, then the turning points and the inciting incident. And I would go back and forth, to kind of make sure it all kind of made sense. But I didn't have the full blown idea until I started actually writing the script.
When did you start? Sorry if I could ask. When did you start writing the script? Was it before production workshop 1? Was it during? Once Adrian mentioned that, to start coming up with screenplays, or did you already have this screenplay sort of at least thought out?
Well, I had some of the notes thought out. It's something that I wanted to do, right? Like when I started like writing down these notes, and I put it on the side, like as projects that I wanted to do in the future. And when Adrian gave us the opportunity to make the film, and along with Miami-Dade, I just thought, well, this might be a great idea to just really start working on this, and I ended up writing the first draft of the script probably like, I think it was like the day of the deadline or something like that,
Damn. And did you have to submit the deadline? I would imagine you had to like submit it online, or?
Yeah, we had to email it. So it was we had to email it to Professor Garcia, and by 12 a.m. or 11:59 p.m.
Right.
So I was like sweating. I was like, I needed a Gatorade. It was crazy.
And you were able to do it all in like one day, or at least you had a rough, so that you could submit it. Adrian knows that you have something in mind, that you want to get a project done. So you just came up with what you could in that one day.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I would say it was like a rough of a rough, right? Like I think the idea was there, but I think that it needed to be fleshed out a little bit better. But it definitely was looking promising, and, I'm just happy that it even got picked,
I got you. And I swear to God, I have the worst memory. How did it go necessarily? Okay, so you've submitted the script, and did Adrian present the script in class, and did the class vote as to whether they thought that would be good enough to pitch, or how did that go?
So I think that what we did is that before we started pitching, it was before we started pitching, but we had in-class sessions where we would present our script, right? And I think while everybody was presenting their scripts, I just had a log line. Like I didn't really know like I kind of knew where I wanted to take it, but I didn't. So when I wrote the script, we submitted it. I think that I think the professors or the faculty of Miami-Dade, it ended up going through like different rounds. So it had to clear like the first round before it entered the second round and so on. So when I submitted it, that it ended up making the first round based on the amount of votes it received by, I think, the faculty that was looking at the scripts, right? And
Yeah.
if you didn't reach like, if you didn't get, I guess, kind of like the blessing or the approval of the faculty involved, it didn't make the first round,
And that vote, the votes that you're talking about right now about the faculty, that wasn't necessarily the presentation of the pitch, was it?
No, I think that was like the second or third round, right, Yen?
What happened?
How many rounds
Yeah.
did we have to go through? Was it 2, 3? Before the pitch? Honestly, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
It feels like it's so long ago.
It's been a while.
But I think it was 2 and then the pitch, or I think
Okay.
it was just one round and then the pitch. That makes sense.
And I remember you telling me that Augustine gave you some ideas, or just maybe some improvements that you could work on for the script. Was this before the pitch?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
that
it was like a week before, right?
That was, yeah. Actually, we stopped by. Yen and I actually, like, once it passed the first draft, Yen and I started working on it together.
Yeah.
And we would spend a lot of time at Starbucks, drinking those what is the cafe lattes and the strawberry refreshers, I think, and just being cracked out and just writing scripts.
Damn, I thought you were gonna say like a
know.
strawberry latte, and I was like, well, that sounds pretty good.
Special
Yo,
thanks to the caffeine.
Seriously,
Shout out
right?
to caffeine.
Like, the worst part is that I went over there and I was like, yeah, I just need something like, like, I try not to drink as much as caffeine anymore, right? So like I went over there and I was like, let me get something with a little bit of caffeine, and they give me this strawberry refresher, and then I find out it's like,
A lot of caffeine.
it was almost like a Monster Energy drinking.
What the hell? I had no idea that
Yeah,
the
it has, like,
refreshers had
green-
caffeine in them. I thought it was just like sugar, like a tasty sugar drink.
No, they extracted it and they put it in there, so it's like pure, tasty caffeine.
Pure caffeine.
Yeah, I felt like Busy Bone, bro. I was just like writing the script, like, and I'm gonna miss everybody.
And I'm gonna write this
Yeah.
script for Augustine.
Yeah,
That's a trip.
for real, right? But no, we ended up stopping, asking Augustine for some guidance and just reconstruction, and if there's anything that didn't really fit there, it looked like it worked, and or what worked, what didn't work. Augustine was a tremendous help, and I'm very thankful that he gave us the time to take a look at the script.
Yeah. Nah, man, I've had Augustine
and he gave
for
us his feedback and his insight, and there's really no one else I would want to go to, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I've had him for at least 3 classes, and he's been one of my favorite professors. So, shout out to Augustine. And
Yeah, for real.
but you guys had like a week to tighten up that script, pretty much, the rough script
Yeah.
that you had.
Yeah.
How many
before
pages
I think
was
the
it?
Pitch.
But how many pages was it before
I think
Augustine spoke to you?
I don't know, man.
I think it was like 12 pages, and then it was rewritten to like 17, no, or something like that.
Oh,
Something like that. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought
don't
you guys
remember, to be
had.
honest.
For some reason, I thought you guys had maybe too many pages, and he helped you whittle it down. But okay, so you guys had to. You guys.
No, he helped us cut some stuff, but add other stuff, like in other places, like redistribute, but not necessarily like cut down, just redistribute like the important places, give it more, I guess, if that makes sense.
I got you. Yeah. And how did the pitch go, guys? The two of you were both there, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. Well, obviously David was there, but Yeniso, you were there too?
Yeah, I was also there.
And did you have to say your piece? Did you have to, let MDC know why you'd be the ideal director? Because you're not even, or you weren't even a student in the Production 1 workshop
Right.
class, right?
No, I wasn't even a student, yeah.
Yeah.
David approached me, and that's my connection.
All right, let's talk about that a little bit before we get into the pitch.
Well, it was
David, how did
terrifying.
you
I'll tell you that.
the
Yeah.
pitch, right?
Yeah.
No,
I
but just what
remember
about
terrifying.
what about just talking to Yeniso and bringing Yeniso into the project? Like, how did that go?
that was great. It's always great working with NSL. So it's like, I mean, we see the same vision, and whenever I have a chance to work with Yen, it's always a great experience. And
Yeah.
so it never,
Yeah,
as
because
far as the
I think we
no, go
speak the
ahead.
same language, and like if when you try to explain me like shots and stuff, I can see it because I see how it like affects like how it captures that moment. And he came to me like in the summer before even the classes, and he's like, "Oh, I want to make a movie about a guy in a record store," and then
So this was the
I,
summer before production
yeah,
workshop, which was in January. The class began like in January.
yeah, even before that, I think while he was still in other courses,
Damn, I didn't know
it
that.
was
I didn't know
definitely
you had that in your head for that long, David.
yeah,
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I was actually taking a screenwriting class, I think screenwriting 2 with Augustine. And then while I was doing one idea, I woke up one morning and I was like, you know what, let me write this one down too. And then, I kind of just kept that on the side as something that like, like I want to do it, but I don't know when, right?
Yeah.
But
No, I got to give
but
you credit
that
for
but
that.
this was the time, so it was nice
yeah,
to work on something like that,
Yeah, and I just remember, of course, you guys worked on Val together, and I was happy,
yeah,
of course, in the project that I was involved in. But I heard it was a challenge, but at the end, you guys had like an awesome short film. I saw it. Adrian showed it to me. Adrian de la Plaza, and I loved it. I loved how it looked. I loved the style, the violence added into it, and
yeah,
so I know that project with you and Yenisel. And then I remember when we were doing the music video for Josh's class. Again, Yenisel wasn't a part of our class, but like she dropped in, whether it was, I think it was either day 1 or day 2, and she still, provided her input, gave some ideas to you, David. So I know you guys have like a really cool relationship with film.
For sure.
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think with the challenges we faced filming Val, it kind of like we kind of grew together because we had to get it done, and we both we all really wanted to get that film done because, I mean, why not prove everyone wrong?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy experience.
Yeah,
And without even getting into that,
yeah,
the way, like the fact that we even got a film completed,
yeah,
like that semester was just like, holy shit.
yeah.
Like,
They were gonna turn it into a class project instead, or something like that, or it wasn't gonna get made just because
And you
our
guys would have had to
director
do
dropped
just
out.
some random project instead? Or
Yeah,
help out, I would
exactly.
imagine help out in other short films.
Yeah,
yeah, no, it was crazy. I mean, like if you think like Yen was she was the director of photography, and I was gonna help gaff, and then it just went sideways, and then Yen had to totally create a brand new script. Then she was like, I'll direct it, and then she asked me, oh, like would you like to like be the DP for this project? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
yeah,
And it was just so crazy because it was just like the film that was like least likely to succeed, right? And
yeah,
it was just
Came out awesome.
it was
Just
a
something you guys could be
pretty
proud of.
yeah. No,
yeah.
I'm
And then
definitely for yeah.
it became like the best like short film from the film production classes that I did, and it was the one that faced the most obstacles.
So you think faculty took that into consideration, like the faculty that was there for the pitch presentation? Do you think that they may have remembered Val and the work that you guys did?
I hope so. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know so much that they know because the professor that taught our class wasn't necessarily in the audience, so
That's
they
what I was
didn't
wondering.
really
Yeah.
know. Yeah, they didn't really know like the challenges we faced, but they saw. I'm pretty sure they saw the ending project when it like premiered,
Right.
and maybe that like kind of helped us a little bit, but I'm not sure if it
oh
like
no, yeah, no.
yeah,
Gustavo like was like he loved it. Like he was so happy that because he knew in a way like he knew what we were going through, right? But he
Better than
wasn't like
anybody.
yeah, he exactly, and he knew like this is a lot of shit that we have on our table, but and he was like, I think he was even more surprised at the outcome of the project
Yeah.
rather than like the stuff that we had to face, if that makes sense. Like he was just really happy. Like number one, we were able to make one, and number two, like he loved it. Like
Yeah.
that's what was so cool about it. Like, and at the end of the day, I think that's what kind of like feeds that process, you know, like just making films that people like and just wanting to do another one, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for Gustavo, but just if I were in his shoes, you know, I would think like, and seeing what he saw that was going on with the project before you guys were so heavily involved in it, I would have thought, man, you know, these guys, they're not trying to take the easy way out. Like they're down to flip this story, flip this short film, and make it their own, and actually get a product out and get a project finished. So
Yeah.
For sure. And you know what? And honestly, like he was an amazing professor, and he believed in us a lot. Like there wasn't one time where he was like, you guys can't do it. Like he really wanted us to succeed, and he wanted us to really make it happen, and he gave his, you know, his belief in us. It was just like it was there, you know.
yeah, and I've had him.
Yeah, he gave
had him
us
for
a
that
shot,
class. Go ahead, Inso.
That he gave us a shot, and like we really needed the shot to like come up with it, because if we would have turned it into something, like if we would have ended up not creating Val, like it would have been a completely different class.
I can imagine you probably wouldn't even have remembered it, or you would have suppressed the memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like you open the closet and you throw a skeleton in there. You know?
Yeah, and that's it. Don't look back. Lock it up.
Yeah. But as far as the pitch though, man, like it was nerve wracking. I think, at least for me, man. I mean, like I definitely, it's always kind of a little scary, you know, to get up in front of like a group of important people and just pitch your idea, you know, like, and
Yeah, because we've never really like done that before. Like in any of the film classes in the past, we never really had to stand in an auditorium with like spotlights and be like, oh, this is what we want to make.
And yeah, you know, and I'm sure that's exactly what it's for. Of course, like when you're in the moment, you're like, all right, this is the pitch. This is to get our project rolling, to get it greenlit. But I think essentially it's for like, you know, in the future when you're pitching other projects outside of school, that you're prepared for that. So, you know, if it got you guys nervous, I think that was its intent. And not only that, but you also got the project greenlit, because some people came out of there just nervous as hell, sweating, and that's all they had for it.
Too.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I think that if you're not nervous and you're not scared, then there's kind of something wrong, right? Like I think, I don't know if it's like it's not like, I don't know if it's directly correlated to like you not caring about the project as much, but I think that like, I mean, I feel like it shows, right? Like if you're scared and you're nervous, it just, I guess it means you kind of care about the project, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because like the way that you hold up a baby, you're kind of like, you're scared to drop it, so you're like trembling a little bit.
Yeah.
So then to like do that in front of people that are like, what? It's a lot. Yeah.
I'm sure the faculty took that into consideration, and they're like, oh, these people aren't just like, hey, this is our project, you know, do what you want with it. Like if you're nervous, it's because you actually care about it, and you know, you hope for it to come out good.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I think we were stressing it and over preparing, and then when we were actually up there, it was like, oh my God, this is actually what we've been preparing for.
Right.
And it was pretty scary, yeah.
And you could do the best.
Headlights, you know?
Yeah, you could do the best with the preparation. I mean, just from my experience in class with just giving presentations to your own classmates, like you could memorize some stuff, you could, you know, practice in front of a mirror, but at least for me, like I'll just like draw a blank and I'll just sort of wing it, and then hopefully what preparation you had, you know, you get some of it during that presentation. But I imagine it wasn't easy for you guys.
It was a challenge, but it was a necessary challenge, you know, and I'm happy that we went through it, because it just, you know, it's experience.
All right, so y'all got greenlit. I'm sure you celebrated. Congratulations. And then, so what were the next steps after that? Was it pre-production work, but was it trying to find a location? Did you guys go scouting immediately? Did you work on the script a little bit more? Did you look for actors? What was the next step after getting greenlit?
Well, we had already like actors. We already knew like before we got greenlit the people that like some of the actors that we wanted to work with. Um, and we had already like the location was already set.
Was
Um,
it? Be-
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we had some in mind, and we had actors in mind at the time.
Yeah,
Like we
exactly.
knew, like for example, we knew we wanted Peter, like
Yeah.
from the get, like and
what happened with Peter? Because I know there was a time where you guys were considering somebody else in between. I think it was once everything got shut down. Peter was potentially not an option for you guys, so you were considering other people. So what happened specifically with Peter?
It was before. Yeah, it was before everything got shut down. We couldn't work with Peter because he wasn't available, and so we decided to do a casting for another uh, Wilbert.
Wilbert
And
being
then
the
we ended
main
up giving
actor.
the part.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
Wilbert being the main character.
yeah. And then um, so he wasn't available, so we ended up going a different route uh, with the character.
so yeah, and we it was another potential Wilbur, and I still think it would have been a great choice, but I knew that our hearts were set on Peter, from the very beginning, and it was just insane that, like, we knew we wanted him before this whole pandemic happened, and it's just crazy how, like, when it came around to, like, recast after the pandemic calmed down a little bit with the phases,
Yeah.
that we were actually able to get Peter, and it was just kind of like a blessing in disguise, I think, because, like, what's meant to happen will kind of happen,
Yeah, and that shows the
and
integrity on behalf of you guys, but also on Peter, because it could have just fallen out, and Peter could have been, it's just a student film or whatever, but he was still interested, and he was willing to act for us in the film, and I myself have
yeah,
a lot of
Peter was
appreciation for him,
phenomenal.
and yeah, he was awesome to work with on set, super friendly guy, very conversational when
Yep.
we weren't actually filming, and
Yeah,
Very
professional too.
professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
professional understanding of the situations of maybe heading from one location to the other, or being available for reshoots, and got to give a lot of credit to him too. Really appreciate him.
It was great. I'm super happy that we had an opportunity to work with him, because it was a great experience. Same thing with Sam. Sam was another one.
What happened with Sam? Was there any debate as to whether you considered somebody else for the role, or for Lloyd?
Well,
Excuse
yeah,
me.
Lloyd was like a big question mark because we were like looking over like backstage and stuff to see who would fit the role, and it was a huge conversation on who Lloyd was, um, and what he embodied. And I think it wasn't like even when we saw Sam, we're like, oh, he's probably not right for the role. But when we got his audition, and that he's Lloyd. Sam
What
is Lloyd.
scene? Do you guys remember what scene he read for in the audition?
I think it was a scene that was cut out. I think it was like a scene with his buddies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But it worked out better that way, anyways.
yeah.
I think, the film would have been a lot longer, I think. But
Well, that's funny. I'm trying to think of what the
but
scene would
you
have
but
been
he
like.
was it's hard, man. Like going on backstage too, kind of trying to figure out, man, who's gonna play this guy. Like like
Yeah.
it's
Because it's hard just going by headshots. That's like the best way, but it's also like really hard because you don't know what like who these people are,
When you
and
saw
what their capacity for is.
when
Yeah.
you
What were you
when
saying?
you saw Sam's headshot, did you think, or David, since you wrote the character, and Yenisel, because as the director you have somebody in mind, maybe did you think like, well, wow, this guy really gives off Lloyd vibes or anything like that?
I think Yen knew from the get, like for
Yeah.
sure. Like I think he's like, this is the guy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
really? I'm like, and it wasn't until I saw Sam where I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, this guy you know what I mean? Like it's just, I think it's just because I think what it threw me off was just the headshot, and then I didn't really get to really see him perform. And
Did he have the long hair in the headshot?
he didn't. It was short.
Oh,
So like
wow.
me, so that's why I think it threw me off a lot because, like writing it, like I was like, this guy is like, the burnout guy in True Romance, right? That's the kind of like
Brad
the way I
Pitt?
thought about it. Yeah, exactly. Like Brad Pitt laying on the couch, having a joint.
That's like my favorite Brad Pitt character, bro. And
Yeah.
he's on screen for like 5 minutes.
And he's hilarious too.
And
So
he was
it's kind of hard to find somebody like that.
I don't even know if he was anybody at that point, man. And then the freaking stoner on the couch turns out to be Brad Pitt. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, you know what's even crazy is that Val Kilmer was in that movie too, and I'm like, where the hell was Val Kilmer? But he ended
Who
up
is
playing
he?
Elvis, like in True Romance.
Bro, I saw True Romance once, like 10 years ago, and I loved it, but I haven't seen it since. But like, yo, I gotta watch that movie again. It's so good.
I have the DVD, bro. If you want to borrow it, I can let
for
you
sure.
use it.
For sure, man.
Crazy about DVD. Like, I've heard people say that DVDs are better than like Blu-ray and all that stuff. I'm like, no way.
Chill,
Like, you know what I mean?
chill.
Like, you're watching stuff like in 4K now, but like, I didn't have internet for like 2 weeks, and like, I went back to like my collection of DVD, and because I had no choice and I wanted to watch movies, right? So like, I put like Troy on, I put like The Usual Suspects, I put like True Romance.
Yeah, the Brad
on.
Pitt marathon.
Yeah, that's
No, I
kind of
don't
funny.
think
I
he's
never
in.
thought
I
of
don't
it
think
that
he's
way,
in.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's in The Usual Suspects, but he's in Troy and in True Romance at least.
yeah, exactly. But like, I went back to watching DVDs, and honestly, dude, like, it's a different. It feels more like I hate to say it, but it feels more like a film. I think like it has a different feeling. I can tell you that.
Oh, I
bro.
get you.
Like when like I went from watching like Christopher Nolan's like Batman trilogy on like 4K on my Xbox or whatever, and then like I went back to some of the movies that I did have that were on DVD only, and it feels more like, I hate to throw the word out, but it just feels more cinematic. Like, I don't know. It's
No, you're not
weird.
wrong.
Like,
I think it has
it's
a
like
lot
when
to
you
do
go
with
from digital to 35 millimeter film, there you can tell there's a big difference. Like,
Yeah.
I miss movie theaters.
Oh hell yeah.
Miss going to the movie theaters.
I miss that so much right
yeah,
now.
for real.
That's like one of my favorite things. I can go to the movie theaters by myself. Like there'll be times in the North Campus where there'll be huge blocks from one class to the other. Like I'll have a class in the morning and another one in the evening, and I'll just go by myself to catch a movie at the Dolphin Mall. Excuse me, not the Dolphin Mall, the Cobb theaters in like Miami Lakes or whatever. And yeah, I just miss that. I miss those experiences, but I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll get back to it soon.
Yeah.
I hope so, man. I mean, movie theaters, even though I feel like they're becoming kind of dated, they're still. Imagine a world without movie theaters. Like, I don't, that'd be too weird for me, I think, at least.
Yeah, you can't deprive the world of that experience. It's like.
Oh, no. I know.
the
Yeah,
silver
I'd be pretty
screen.
upset, especially as a kid growing up in the theaters. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I
Some-
don't know.
yeah.
Like, and it was great. It was great growing up in the theaters, I think, because it was just like, I felt like the 90s like had a lot of good movies, and it's like, I remember watching Lord of the Rings in the theaters, bro. Like, it was crazy. Or The Phantom Menace, and
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yep. The Phantom
Pulp
Menace
Fiction
was nuts.
out. When Phantom Menace came out, I was like, holy crap. Like,
That was my first time like experiencing fanboys for any series or for any franchise, and like, dude, people came out. I went to Palace 18 for that one, and everybody was all costumed up. I'm like, what's going on? And then like I
that's
wanted,
cool.
I was a kid. I was like in the first grade, and I just wanted to like mimic all the older people. They were dressed up, so like I made my mom take me and my friend again, but this time like we went with lightsabers and costumes just to rewatch
great.
episode 1. So
Yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
like it's making movie watching an event. Like you
That's
dress
right.
up. It's making it a party.
That's right. And people
I
say,
mean, you see like little kids have lightsaber battles outside.
Yeah.
exactly. Whole
When Toys R
choreograph,
Us was a thing,
all that, man. And not just like the events, like, people, they'll mention that when they say, it would be a shame for movie theaters to be gone. But, just for situations like my own, where like you just want to go by yourself, relax, escape for a little bit, catch a movie, kill some time. Like they're very clutch at any given moment.
Yeah, it's a good escape.
It's a good
It
escape.
is. And I've actually been trying to go back to the movie theaters.
Yeah.
They're open again, aren't they?
They are. And I actually wanted to watch the new Christopher Nolan movie, but I think I'm just holding out just a little bit more, man. Just to wait,
Yeah. No, I hear you. I think I'm gonna do the same. I'll probably just rent Tenet when it comes out.
I think so, yeah. I heard it was a great movie too, but
So have I, but just not ready for it. Just got. I don't know. I haven't had. It hasn't spoiled. I haven't gotten it spoiled at all or anything like that. And I just want to watch it and do my best to understand it because I know it's going to be one of those movies.
What it's about.
I don't know. I don't know what it's about at all.
I've seen the trailer and I'm still like.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw the trailer and I'm still like, what's going on? Even like, it's not even just a teaser trailer.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, so things are happening backwards, but not really. I don't. Yeah.
That's Nolan for you.
Yeah.
So Sam was an awesome casting. Peter was great. Trying to think of other roles in the film. Anybody that you guys,
Lenny was Al was a good one too, because I think Al kind of captured the essence of who Lenny was, right?
I loved his accent.
Definitely, yeah.
He got that New Jersey accent.
I remember him saying, is he from New Jersey or?
What?
I remember him saying something about where he was from, like where he grew up, and that's how he has the accent. Like, was it New Jersey or Chicago or New York?
I think it was Chicago.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with some more Broken Records podcasts. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Broken Records podcast with your host, Christian Gonzalez. Again, I'm with director of photography and screenwriter David Robertson. And we left off when we were discussing casting choices and what the outcomes were of that and how they turned out. And we were talking about Lenny. And during the break, I was thinking about the young actors that you guys casted. How did that come about? How'd you guys find them too? They had some pretty good chemistry on set.
So basically, I think to cover your question, we initially had another group, but what the issue is that I think due to like COVID-19, we ended up losing a few actors, and we had to replace a couple of others. Just because of the whole pandemic situation, like some of them didn't feel comfortable, and
so they weren't your initial choices.
They were not, no, but they worked out. I think that
so too.
I think that and it just works out that way. Like sometimes you have people in mind that you want, and then like things happen, and you just gotta deal with what happens in life,
Yeah. And luckily, their acting wasn't stretched, or we didn't require too much of them during the shooting because they were just a part of like the montage, really.
Exactly. And I mean, and they initially had lines, but I don't know what happened. I think that they had like one or two lines. It wasn't much, but I think in the film they had 0.
I think so too, at least while I was on set. I don't remember them really having any dialogue.
Yeah.
But they were great. They were with us for day one, and
it's hard, yeah. And it's hard to find, like not only people that are willing to do it in the middle of a pandemic, but I think that also like you want to find the not only the right actors, but also actors that look like the other actors,
Good point. Good point. Yeah, because we did have Wilbert's wife in the film, so even the girl had to look like her a little bit, the younger version of her.
Exactly. And it turned out fine, and I thought so at least.
So Michelle, the producer, had mentioned that you all did some scouting, and one of the record stores that you checked out was Radioactive Records over in Fort Lauderdale. And I checked them out on Instagram, and they have a really cool interior, really spacious. But can you just talk a little bit, David, about why you guys ended up going with Technique, or what happened exactly with Radioactive?
As far as Radioactive, I've been inside the store before. I've always kind of liked how it looked. I like the lighting. I like the lights, the overheads that they have. I like it. It really was my first choice for composition wise. I felt like I can do a lot more with the store, but that was before I saw Techniques, right? And I'm kind of like one of those, like, I'll look at different locations, but like if I find one and I really like it, I'm just like, oh, okay, let's do this, right? Like if I feel like I found one, then I'm just like, let's keep it, right?
I hear you.
And not waste any more time. But Radioactive was initially my first choice, and we looked at a bunch of them in Miami, and then Michelle mentioned Techniques, and I initially saw Techniques online, right?
Yeah, she had told me that she lives nearby it.
She does, yeah, she does. So she mentioned that, and I was like, you know what? Let me just. I think she went over there and she talked to Mikey, the store owner, and she had a conversation with him about it. And I ended up just heading over to Techniques and just taking a look, and then it was different than what I originally saw like online. So when I did go into it, it was beautiful. Like, I mean, like it has like these 7x8 windows, like where a lot of natural light floods into the store. It was very like very well designed. Like Mikey
Really
keeps
nice
like
high ceilings.
yeah, absolutely, and just Mikey just overall keeps like the store very clean and very professional, and I just saw the store and I was like, oh, I love it. Like, like aesthetically at least, like I was just like the light, like you have so much opportunity for light, without having to use any sort of artificial sources. You just use like just a straight up natural sunlight, and I like, I just like the way that it looked. I just like the way that it looked.
It had that little equipment section in
It
the
had a
corner, the
homey
wish you were
feeling,
gear section. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It had audio. It had an audio section. It had the entire gigantic wall of vinyls and records, and it had cassette tapes. A whole wall dedicated to cassette tapes. It had vinyl shelves like next to windows. Like it was great, man. The store is extremely beautiful, and if you haven't checked it out, like I would go and check it out. You know what I mean? And pick
Absolutely.
up a record or two. Because
Pick up a record, pick up some merch. They got some really cool long sleeves. They got a really nice T-shirt that I bought. I know you got one too.
oh, bro, every day I was in there, I grabbed something, man. I was like a shirt, a hat, a record. Like it was dope. It's dope, and it's dope to represent like your hometown too. Like support people and support the local people.
Support local businesses.
Yeah, exactly. And it was definitely like when I walked in there, I was like, Michelle, we don't even need to look anymore.
And this was this during Production Workshop 1 when you first saw Technique Records?
Yeah, this was during Production Workshop 1, correct?
Yeah, so you just got to think like, Mikey, he agreed to letting us use the space at that time, not knowing what would happen afterwards and how his business will look, a few months down the line. And even during the pandemic, even during Corona, he still opened up his shop to us. And that's just like really incredible on his behalf, man. I mean,
I think it was definitely a blessing in disguise, man, and like it was crazy because he agreed to it and he was totally down for it, and it was so cool of him to even give us the opportunity to do so, and it was like kind of like a dream come true, it's like and it was just a great experience to be there filming, and he's such a great guy, and very humble, very nice, and it's like, I was scared at one point because like with everything that went on this year with the pandemic, it was like we had location locked, we had actors locked, we had all these factors like ready to go, and this pandemic hits, and then everything was at jeopardy. Like we didn't talk to people for like half a year. We weren't able to talk to Mikey or anything like for half a year. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything kind of just got put on pause. Everything disappeared, and it was just really crazy that after the pandemic, he was still cool with it, and as long as we abided by the county and state laws, we were good.
And his opening hours,
masks, everybody got tested, everybody was monitored. It was.
And can you imagine just the film? It relies a lot on the location, because it's pretty much a story about a record shop owner in his record shop. So could you just imagine like having to rewrite the entire script if we didn't have the location? It could have been an entirely different story. He could have been, excuse me, some other type of business owner, or who knows? It could have been all within his house. But luckily, Mikey pulled through, and we had an awesome.
Sure.
Awesome
I was scared.
experience
I
with
was even scared for Mikey too, because I was like, man, like what's gonna happen to all these local businesses that are out here
right
during the pandemic? Like, like how's that gonna work out? Like, and it was a lot of things, man. It was, and I'm extremely happy that he, like they stayed strong, and they're still here today, man. And you could literally go in there right now today and go and pick up a record. Like it's great. Like
it's funny, I don't know how I got to following them, but I think I followed Technique even before I was even aware that we were working with them in the project. Like I followed them on Instagram, and I would see like all the measures they were doing to stay open during the pandemic, how they were doing the drive-throughs, and you can come pick up records from curbside, and it's really like you got to make appointments. It's just like it's a happy ending to see that things are reopening and Technique's still standing.
For sure, it was definitely a happy ending, man. Because I think at one point we were all kind of worried, man, because you go to downtown, man. There's so many businesses that used to be there. Like
yeah. Imagine you made the story about a restaurant owner or something.
No, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, and it was kind of worrisome, because it's like, damn, dude, like going back to the film, it's like, oh shit, do we even have a location anymore? Like, I don't think we're gonna be able to make this in time. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So it was tough, man. It was tough. But I'm glad everything worked out. Thank God, and I strongly believe, we made the film because of God, So it's like,
absolutely. And just to think, it's people aren't really buying records as much as they used to. It's sort of a niche market. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but on top of that, on top of those restrictions, and on top of the pandemic going on, Technique is still running, and it just goes to show they I would imagine they have a really loyal following, loyal customers, and just got to give credit and praises to them too. And of course,
for sure,
the business themselves. And I can't forget about Caroline. Caroline was awesome. She's I think she's a manager. She's one of the managers at Technique, and she was super helpful. She was there with us as soon as we arrived on set at 3:00. And also just thinking about from a logistics standpoint, I think we were better off with Techniques, because Radioactive was a bit of a drive, and because it's in Fort Lauderdale, and I was just thinking like, man, I wonder at what time I would have had to waken up if we had to drive all the way over to Radioactive. So it was a pretty convenient spot, Technique Records.
Yeah, I know it was, man. It actually worked out, because you remember some of those call times, man, were like at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, bro. Like it was rough, and some of us didn't even get sleep. Like I know myself, I was up like 48 hours, and I shot the film. Like like it was.
It's wild.
It was wild, and it's crazy how much.
I remember the first day I got a decent amount of sleep, because obviously it was the first day. But then from day 1 to day 2, I barely got any rest. I must have slept for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I was up and on my way back to technique. And
Yeah,
just what
it
you're
was
saying
rough,
now, you know,
man.
48 hours of no sleep, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts and that Keurig coffee machine that was brought by Crafties, huh? Like that really helped out.
Pre-production is Starbucks, but when shit gets real, you gotta upgrade to Dunkin' Donuts, bro.
Oh yeah, dude. I was on Dunkin' for like 3 days straight.
You're running on Dunkin'.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
David runs on Dunkin'.
Yeah, you know it. I like Dunkin'. You know, I like Starbucks too, but I mean, like, I'm not a, you know.
I like them both, man. I'm pretty simple. I just like, French vanilla. Like, honestly, my favorite type of coffee is if you go to a hospital or something and like the little vending machines they got there with the French vanilla. I'm happy with that, man. Nice and sweet.
Oh, there you go. French vanillas are good. Hey, you know, it's
Yeah.
crazy, man. You mentioned like the hospital, like you get them at the hospital and stuff. Like, uh, it's crazy because like, bro, like on my way driving to Techniques one day, I was doing a shot list and I went over there
Yeah.
to right before the pandemic. It was literally like a couple days before like Miami-Dade College was like, you guys can come back to school. We're gonna figure something out and we're gonna do remote learning or something like that, right? Or I don't even think they knew what they wanted to do yet because of the situation. Nobody knew what was going on. And I was literally on my way to Techniques to do a shot list, and I got into a crazy car accident on I-95 southbound.
This was still class was still sort of okay. Yeah, like you said, it was in the process where they didn't know exactly what they were doing, but we were still students. We were still enrolled in
Exactly.
class.
We were actually. I
Yeah.
had to go to class that day. It's crazy because every time you make a film, at least for me, I feel like every time I make a film, something happens, right? Like I think when we did
And you've
Val,
gotten into a car accident.
exactly. Like when I did Val, like I had to go to the hospital for like 3 days, and they didn't even know what the hell was wrong with me. And
Damn.
it turned out like I think it was because like we actually filmed in an alleyway for like a few days, I think, and this alleyway was like it was so disgusting. It was in downtown, and it was like this fucking crackhead den of an alleyway that we
Gorilla
chose.
mode.
And literally like I think Yen stepped in like crackhead shit, like human feces. It was that nasty. And then like on the other side of the fence there was a fucking like I don't know, like
Positive
like
intent,
an army
bro. It
of
was
black
dog
cats.
Shit. It
like,
wasn't crackhead shit.
It was crackhead shit. It was like, it was fiends in the other side of like far back in the alleyway, and they're I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever fiends do, right? Like then there was like this fence, and on the other side of the fence was like an army of black cats, and I'm like allergic to cats, so like
Okay.
so we stayed It was great. We stayed filming in that alleyway, right? And then
Yeah.
bro, like after that. I started having like medical complications and I had to go to the hospital and they actually admitted me and I stayed there for 3 days.
I can't believe that, man.
Yeah, man, it was nuts. And then after I got out of the hospital, those 3 days I spent in the hospital without eating, right? They didn't even give me ice chips, right? Because they were trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. I ended up like leaving the hospital and then going back into that same alleyway to finish the rest of the film. It was just
You
hilarious.
just don't learn your lesson, do
Yeah,
you,
I know,
David?
man. I'm crazy. I know. Anything for the film, right? But going back to what I was saying is that I was actually on my way to Techniques, and I got into a crazy car accident trying to go to Techniques to do the shot list. And my car got wrecked. Like this guy, this guy totaled his entire car. Like his car looked like an accordion, right? And another car got wrecked too. I think like his back wheels flew off or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But what brings me to my point is like it's just like it's crazy. Like whenever you want to do something and you kind of like. At least for me, right? Like whenever I have something that I want to do and I'm determined to do, like in this category, like the film, like something always happens, right? It's always something. I don't think there's ever like a story where somebody tries to make a film and then nothing happens, right? Like
Everything went smooth.
there's always some shit that happens, right? I think like in Troy, like a hurricane passed through the set and then blew the entire set away. you know, and they had to rebuild it and everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Or like,
That's insane. Do you know where they shot at?
I actually don't. I don't remember where they shot at, but I was watching the behind the scenes, and there's always like some nightmare stories in filming. Like, always. Like, they mentioned another story where, like, I think they were sleeping, or I don't know. I forgot what they were doing, but there was a tarantula and a scorpion fighting on a guy's leg. Like while they were filming or sleeping or something like that, right? And all the cast had to be in this direct light, like the spotlight, because everywhere else was it was complete darkness. So they wanted to stay within the light because, you know, if you go into the shadows, like, some shit happens.
That's where the creepy crawlers come out.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. But
Dang.
I don't know. I just
So,
maybe it's off topic, but I thought it was kind of funny because it's like whenever you do something like film related, some shit always happens, and those are my kind of cases of like.
We got to pass it around, though, man. You're getting the brunt of all of it.
Yeah.
You're spending 3 days in the hospital. You're getting into the car accident. We got to pass the bad luck around.
I know, right? I don't know what it is. I got some angels, though. I'll tell you that. Thank God.
Absolutely. And you turned out all right? No serious injuries after the car accident?
Nah, man, I was good. I was actually good. Like, both
Thank
times,
God.
you know? Both times I was good. They were like a bit of a scare, but I'm good.
That's wild, man, with the valve situation. Like 3 days in the hospital for somebody, you know, you're a young guy, you know, and to spend 3 days in the hospital, it must have been something serious going on.
I know, it was nuts. I mean, they threw me like in a unit where like people were dying, and you heard people like, you know.
Nah.
And I'm just there like, oh shit, am I next? Like, you know. And I think the worst part about the situation, I think not even like the people that were like I would hear passing away like in the next room, like, you know, like the worst part was like being in the bed, the uncomfortable ass bed, right, with the TV on, and in every 30 seconds there was a pizza commercial. So you had like CC's Pizza with their marketing, like I think like pizza, and then I'm literally on the bed 3 days without eating even ice chips. You know what I mean? So it was like,
that's wild.
And
that was
rough,
like,
bro.
That was doctor's orders, like don't give David anything to eat.
Yeah, I couldn't even drink water. They had me like on an IV the whole time. And
that's incredible, man.
And the first thing I did when I got out of the hospital was fucking go grab a pizza, bro. Cause
oh my God, they did it. They got you.
Shit was seared into my mind for 3 days. You know.
That's hilarious. You know, yesterday, typically with Chipotle, if you go and you wear a costume, they'll give you like a free burrito or something like that. And like for whatever reason, it just dinged in my head yesterday. Like, man, I'm hungry. I'm gonna get some Chipotle. And I'm like, oh damn, they got me with the marketing.
There you go, man. I think
they know what they're doing.
Me and Michelle's experience at Chipotle was during the pandemic wasn't that great. You know,
really,
it was a shit show.
Was it like you ate something bad? You got sick?
No, it was like a rock concert in there, bro. Like it was, and everybody was like fucking fighting for their food, and everybody was like mosh pitting, and like it was crazy.
So if you want to get into post, what you're doing now, obviously you've assembled all the footage. Are you in constant contact with the editor, with Adrian de la Plaza?
Actually, Adrian's been over at my house a couple times already, and we just been sitting down for like the whole day and just editing the film. I definitely
you got some roughs, right?
We have a rough ready that we actually got to submit it today, but it's like a rough, you know. Like I mean, I've been nonstop, man. I haven't been like Adrian's the editor. But whenever Adrian's not here and you know, we touch base on what we want, we just communicate with each other what we can do, and I'll end up touching some things up and helping him out and just putting it together, you know, like. But you know, like I'm so like when I get involved in a project, I just want to like put my all into it, you know what I mean? Like I don't even like taking breaks, and it's bad because it's like. When you have people telling you like, "Yo, you need to take a break, bro," like you know what I mean, like it's pretty wild. Like, 'cause
They could
sometimes you
tell
get
that
so
you're
lost in it,
yeah.
you know, like you want to do it. Like, it's like I'm like, you know, like I just don't want to do anything else when I,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know.
But you know what they say, like sometimes you got to step back for a little bit, maybe a day or two, so that you get fresh eyes on it, a fresh perspective. Maybe someone else could take a look at it. So, there's nothing wrong with taking
Oh,
breaks,
for
man.
sure.
But
No,
I respect your
absolutely,
grind.
dude.
I respect your work ethic.
No, absolutely, dude. I mean, you have to, because then you go crazy, bro. And then, and it's good to step back too, because then you realize things that you may have not have realized, like, like if you had your eyes glued to it the whole time, like, so I don't know. But me and Adrian and I've been working closely together, and as well with Yen, and we just been, we're like a trio, we kind of just uh, bounce ideas off each other, and it's kind of like we're like a triangle, like kind of like with ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. We're kind of like that, you can't do one thing without affecting the other, and we kind of just like work within that triangle.
Move like Voltron.
Yeah, there you go.
So you said you have to submit a rough today?
Yeah, so we have to submit a rough today. Like,
That's wild. But not on Frame.io, right?
yeah, on Frame.io, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's
So
I'm cool. Like, we've had it ready for a while already. I just think that we're just working more on it, and just trying to get the best of it before the deadlines come up. But it's looking
So
it's looking promising though, man. I'm just excited.
I'm excited too. I wish, of course I want to be there during the post-production, but I would also like to just get like the final product. But, I can't wait to see any piece of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rough. And if it's going to be on Frame.io, you'll probably get some feedback from other students too on it.
Oh no, but that one's gonna be more private. So it's gonna be privately between, I think, the professor and like.
Oh, okay. Exactly. That's what I thought. Like when I asked if it was going to be on Frame.io, I was wondering, are other students going to be able to see it and all that? And
yeah, exactly.
didn't make sense to
I
me,
think
but
it would
okay.
kind of ruin the surprise too. Like
Of
everybody
course.
seeing it. Like I think that's kind of like why, like you want to make the film because you want to make a film, right? Like you want to make a good film, something that you're proud of. But it's also, I feel like, at least to me, it's kind of like to show, like, hey, look, this is what we can do, like, and even though we're all still learning and trying to grow more in it, because I wish I knew as much as like I don't know, like Roger Deakins knew and stuff like that, but and I'm nowhere near that level, so I kind of want to one day get there. So, but it's like, yeah, man, it's just definitely like I feel like it's fun to kind of just like show everybody that what you can do, and why ruin the surprise? It's like,
No, it makes a lot more sense if, it's only going to be between you and the professor. So, yeah, maybe if Demos could see it, then, yeah, maybe he can give you some feedback on it, and that's good enough.
Yeah, and I'd rather people see the finished product than a work in progress, because then it's like when you watch the finished product, you
probably still have those thoughts of the rough in your mind.
Exactly, versus something new and fresh and something you've never seen before, and it all takes into effect, like account to like like
yeah. It reminds me of like when an artist when a leak comes out of an artist's song, and then they release the final version, and you're like, oh, I kind of liked this part of the leak that they removed, or man, you're just comparing the two, and you don't really want that. You just want like the final product. This is what I got. Let me know what you think. But you don't want people to have like, yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what it is. That's the perfect analogy, because like exactly, it's a leak. Like essentially, kind of like the same like as in b-boying. When you go and you practice like your moves, and like you practice, and then when it's finally time for showtime and you go to a jam, you want to explode on everybody, like it's just like you want everybody to be like, yo, what the fuck, that's crazy, like like, so it's kind of like that, I think. But it was kind of like, that was kind of like the analogy I was going for. But you touched base on it pretty good when you talked about the leak. And essentially when you make something, is like you don't want things getting out before you want them to get out, right? Like I think that's kind of like the purpose.
Exactly. So you guys have the rough that you need to submit today, and are you gonna wait maybe from feedback from Demos before you start color correcting, or have
I
you already
def-
considered getting that started?
Well, the color, I'm gonna work with Jose to get the color correcting on point. So Jose and I will be working on that. I haven't really decided on whether or not I was just gonna play with it myself or just hand it all to Jose. But Jose's a phenomenal. I mean, like
He's awesome to
he's
work with,
great,
man.
man.
I've
He's
worked with him.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
When you guys were doing Val, he was a part of Denise's team and the short film that I was working on both short films. And like, he's just an awesome team player, awesome to work with, super insightful, super knowledgeable. You know, even as a student, like that guy.
Oh yeah,
He's
he's very humble. He's very knowledgeable. Like this, like I love working with Jose. Like I think he's a great human being, man. Like and I would want him. I would want to work with him anytime I have a chance to work with him.
I hope so, man. You know, we're nearing. I know that you're at the end of your bachelor's, and so am I with this semester. But afterwards, I really hope to stay in contact with everybody that I've worked with during MDC, especially this crew, especially yourself, Jose. You guys are all just awesome to work with.
For sure, dude. You already know, man. And I have some projects coming up, so like we can talk.
For sure.
But what were some of your other questions?
I'm thinking. So I kind of. We can get into lighting if you want to talk a little bit about lighting.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'll try to
And I
do
know
the
you're a
best I
camera-
can. You know.
I know you were a camera operator too,
Yeah.
so just how that went handling, because of course you were done with the screenwriting once we got into production, but you were still juggling both, camera operator and lighting. And was that an easy feat, or did you run into some troubles? How was the blocking with the actors inside of the record store?
I honestly think it's hard to wear like a lot of hats. I think that I think it's probably better to just focus on one thing specifically. But I mean, I love having a camera in my hand, man. Like it's like I don't know, like I love just holding a camera and just like I as much as like, it's probably better to just like do one thing at a time. Like I'm probably still gonna cam op light and do all that. Like
You can't help yourself. And again, you're a student, you know, so it's not like this is an actual film production where someone might say, hey, what the hell are you doing? You know, your camera team, or hey, what are you doing? You're lighting, stop that. But as a student, you're given the leeway to do that. To do what
exactly. And you're always learning, because then you kind of figure out what you like, what you don't like, and what you prefer, what you don't. So it's good it's good to find out what you don't like. And I think that's kind of like the valuable lesson, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely, I found out a lot of things that I didn't like, and I can just be like, well, I'm not going to do that again. Like, so it works, for me at least. As far as lighting, man, it was,
let me hear about lighting.
As far as lighting, like we definitely like utilized a lot of natural light, man. I mean, I think, the windows were a tremendous help. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I wish I would have done more, but
with lighting.
Yeah, but it is, it is what it is, like.
How's it looking?
I think it looks good, man.
During production,
I think it looks good, man. And I was really like, I knew that I wanted to have the windows. I want to have that light inside the store, and there's a lot of bouncing going on. With the sun going through the windows, bouncing off the floors and the ceiling, and and we had some diffusion and some whiteboards, and it was cool,
And you only had like 3 hours of night to play with, really.
I think that was like the biggest problem, right? Because I was looking really forward to just the light coming through the window, and the night was like a huge problem because we didn't have any light in the like outside, right? So the time was the hardest part because we only had like 2 hours, man, to film all the night scenes, and then the light would come up, and then when the light came up, I specifically wanted to utilize the light for different scenes, different types of light too. When the sun was coming up, I knew I wanted to get this guy walking into the store, and I wanted to get him opening up the store,
Right.
And then when that sun had already rose, we have like the morning stuff, with the where what I mean, like where he goes along with his day, right? And then Lloyd comes into the picture, and Jasmine, and and everybody else,
I hear you.
But Natural Light was definitely like what I was going for sure.
And
But
yeah, you were able to get it thanks to those large windows.
for sure. And I think I've learned a couple lessons on this set as far as like lighting and as far as like, being a better DP, and and it's like I can't wait to continue learning, man, because that's what it's all about. It's about learning, like.
Yeah, and working with what you got.
Exactly. And then you get creative, man, it's just like, and you figure out things like sometimes you think you have it figured out, and then you're just like, oh shit, no, this is way better. Let's do this,
Yeah. How do you feel, man?
I feel good, man. I'm really excited to just really color it and put it out there, man. I definitely can't wait, bro. I want it to be completed, done, and ready to be put out into the world, and and then work on another project,
Yep. And in regards to production, I can't really say much about the film other than I had a great time. I really enjoyed working with everybody. It was an awesome experience, one that I won't forget. Aside from what's going on in the world, but just even if it was a regular day, a regular weekend with you guys, it was a load of fun. It was challenging. It was nerve-wracking at times, but I know I'm going to look back on it with fond memories. But aside from that, I'm just looking forward to the final cut of it, and I know it's going to come out great given you're in control of it, Adrian de la Plaza, you got Yenisel keeping her eye on it. Although she directed, she's still, very much a part of the post-production. And besides that, just this podcast, I thought this is my first time ever doing a podcast, recording one. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And, how are we going to make an hour of content, of conversation? But we're, almost 2 hours in right now. And it was really an awesome experience. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about the production with me, to talk about your short film with me, your idea. And I'm really looking forward to working with you again, with everybody in the crew again. And again, just waiting on seeing the picture lock of the production of the movie.
For sure, man. And I feel the same. And it's definitely a pleasure working with you and everybody else involved in the crew. Yen, Adrian, Michelle, it's been a great experience, man. I can't wait to put it out there, and just have everybody take a look at it and see what they think.
Absolutely. And to anybody that was listening, thank you so much. If you ran through it all with us, if you listened to it, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was entertaining. And thank you so much again. This was the Broken Records podcast. Thank you all so much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.